Friends, if you are looking for home decor inspiration that is not boring, basic, and bland, then this is the video for you. This is Laugh Cry DIY. I am Katie, and on this channel, I am on a mission to give you guys cool, creative, fun inspiration to make your home whatever it is you want it to be. And lately, I have to say, I'm feeling so bored. The home decor world is obsessed with the same do's and don'ts, the same trends. I'm seeing the same boring rooms everywhere. So today, I have gone to my archives and I have pulled 10 awesome images of things that I cannot get out of my brain that I think are so unique and interesting, things that you could DIY, things that you could buy, or things that you could just sit there and be totally inspired by. And yes, I am a color-loving maximalist, so much of this leans towards that aesthetic. But I still think these are cool ideas that you can adapt into your space however you want, because I don't care, because it's your house and not mine. Sorry, I guess I'm feeling spicy. Anyways, let's start with number one, which is this adorable kitchen. Which, before I start talking about what I really meant to talk about, I do want to point out that really cool green planter chandelier. I love the placement because it acts as a chandelier, and it even has this little tassel on the bottom, which I think is so cute. But that is not actually what stood out to me in this photo. What I think is so cool and interesting is this little mini kitchen bar island with this funky pattern on it. It's a little difficult to see up close, but I think it's actually this raw wood grain painted with this funky black pattern. It's kind of zebra striped, it kind of looks like tropical plants. It's honestly so subtle you almost might not recognize it, but I think that's why it's so cool, especially when paired with the cute little rattan bar stools. I also really love it because they just made the most of this tiny little element. I also think it's cool that adding that pattern makes it a little more distinct from the rest of the cabinetry. And you can totally imagine an effect like this in a really small studio or small apartment or just a tiny kitchen. Again, it's such a simple little detail. You could really easily do this in so many ways, whether you were gonna buy your own little bar island, whether you were thrifting something, whether you were adapting an IKEA piece. You could paint it, you could wallpaper it, you could contact paper it, you could contact paper it and then paint it. Obviously, there's so many ways to incorporate this, but I just think it's such a cool, funky little thing you just don't see that often, and that is why I freaking love it. Now, moving on to this next one. This is something that you really don't see that often, and in fact, I don't know that I've ever seen it. And that is this tiled headboard that Haley Stewart created. She DIY'd this headboard using Zalige tiles, and I think it is so beautiful, so creative, and so unique. If you're not familiar with Zalige tiles, they are tiles that are handmade in Morocco. Because they're handmade, each one has a slight variation, both in the shape and the color. Some people don't like them because they don't have that uniformity. Personally, I think they're totally beautiful little works of art because each one is unique and different, and it gives it so much beautiful variation in my opinion. And you can actually see she made this into a mini ledge shelf where you can see the plant and the art right above it. But this is such an interesting way to add an unexpected texture in a guest room. Now, one fun tip in interior design is to incorporate at least 5 textures into a space to make it feel kind of done and really interesting and layered. That could be wood, velvet, glass, fur. So adding this tile headboard is really interesting to me. And although that might not be the comfiest or coziest texture for a bedroom, I do think it's really interesting and it makes it a very unique space. Now, obviously it is a bit of work to DIY this, but I just wanted to show it to prove that it can be done, that it's really interesting, that it's also a really cool way to use up like dead stock tile that you might find on Facebook Marketplace or something, if you have a little bit of it and you wanna make something cool. So I just wanna say, shout out to Haley, you're so cool, you're so brilliant, and I freaking love this. Now, we're gonna keep riding the tile train with this really awesome tiled striped fireplace. I've talked about fireplaces in other videos, and I've talked about how you can do cool, interesting things with them. And this particular image has always really stuck out to me. If you can see, it's actually black and white stripes paired with green tiles on the mantle and down on the hearth. To me, it's a very simple detail, but it makes such an impact and it adds so much drama. And I actually love that they chose the crisp black and white because that, in my opinion, is a neutral that really fits into everything. In my opinion, I think fireplaces are often wasted opportunities to add some fun color and pattern, so obviously this really speaks to my soul. And I think it's very cool and unusual to do stripes on a fireplace the way that they did. And even if you didn't do stripes on the whole fireplace, if you just did the little inset, like the back, kind of the backsplash of the inset, I think that would be a very cool way to tuck in some pattern. But hey, it's your fireplace, your life. I want you to do what you want. As for me, I want to see more of these tile stripes on fireplaces all around the world. Now, moving on from tile, we're gonna go to something that is even more rare, I would say, than striped fireplaces. And that is this really interesting rug. I adore animal print. I think it is a neutral. I think it is a beautiful, subtle pattern to add to any room. And this animal print is really, really interesting because, can you guess what it is? It's antelope. In home decor, we're used to seeing like leopard, cheetah, tiger print, maybe even a zebra, but this antelope is really interesting. And shocker, this is not actually a rug, it's carpet tiles. These are the Doe Re Mi carpet tiles from FLOR. And not only do they make them in this antelope pattern, they actually make them in several different color variations of this pattern. And for me, this photo really caught my eye because if you're a color-loving maximalist, sometimes it is hard to find a good rug that isn't going to overpower the room, but will add some subtle detail. And I think that this one is actually a really kind of cool, grounding, natural way to do that. I'm also not usually a brown person, but for this, I love how the brown plays with that beautiful powder blue sofa and the powder blue walls. I also think it's a good alternative if you're someone who feels that leopard or cheetah is tacky. I also feel personally attacked if you feel that way, but that's okay. I'm just saying, look for other interesting nature-based patterns and maybe you will find something you like. All right, moving on. We are going to look at one of my most pinned photos. I think I have accidentally pinned this photo maybe 14 times, and it is simply this little glamorous bedroom moment. I just have always loved the vibe of this picture. It feels so relaxing, it feels kind of sexy to me, it feels really moody. And I love so many elements here. I love the pattern on the bedspread. I think the rust-colored curtains are really unusual. Obviously, we have this beautiful pink chandelier, but one of the most interesting details of this photo, and I think something that over and over catches my eye, is the unusual way that they styled the pillows. You can see here, they've simply stacked them vertically instead of doing them horizontally. Also, if you're a lazy girl, this version of just stacking your pillows, I don't know, it just seems very easy and simple. It also looks really cool if you have both color and texture variation. Like it looks like they have this shiny crushed velvet in different iterations. And you can see that light reflection so beautifully coming off of the chandelier and that beautiful brass side table. I am currently brainstorming for my own bedroom, which I've had a lot of trouble figuring out a direction to go in. So maybe it'll end up with something like this, but you'll have to stay tuned. Now, moving from one bedroom to another, I also wanted to show you guys this cool image. This is a very groovy, very 70s inspired bedroom. We have the really thick plush shag rug. We have the crocheted blankets. We have this gorgeous kind of amber colored light. And I really love this image because I just think it captures a really beautiful casual coziness that we would all like to have in our bedrooms, I think. But the reason I always really like this image is actually because of how the bed is made. I love that the blankets kind of spill onto the ground. This is a very cozy, very relaxed style. Again, it's very lazy girl friendly if you don't like to have to really make and style your bed each day. But really, I just think it's a nice, subtle detail that adds so much, again, coziness and kind of vibes to the space in a really simple way. And obviously, if you wanted to get this look for yourself, you can just kind of size up in whatever your bed is. So if you have a queen, get a king. They also make bedspreads that are meant to kind of drape over. And obviously this works best if you have a kind of low slung bed as opposed to like a really high stacked multiple mattress situation. But pairing that really fluffy rug with those cozy kind of draped over textiles is just, I already want to take a nap. I'm already getting tired. And I think that that is the sign of good design, if it makes you tired when you walk into a bedroom. Okay, let's talk about something that I am probably never really gonna have in my life, even though I always want it. And that is some sort of kind of cool bar placed somewhere in my house. And I'm talking specifically about this amazing Willie Rizzo bar. Willie Rizzo was an Italian designer who designed a bunch of different bars that are all really, really cool and chic and interesting. And I love this example of how somebody tucked this in the corner of their living room. I love the rich green color. I love the beautiful brass detail. I love the mirrored top. I love the curves. I love that it's two distinct sections. Obviously you need the space for something like this, but I do love actually how compact it is. It really is a tiny, tiny little bar. And if you can kind of mirror a wall behind it or add a shelf and a mirror to that or something, you can do this kind of two-piece bar setup and it looks so cool. And maybe if you're really inspired, you could kind of treat it like the kitchen island thing and then you could put a pattern on it. So many ideas. But I just do think it's so cool to designate a little functional space like this that isn't already built into the room. And I highly recommend going down the rabbit hole of Willie Rizzo bars because there are so many styles, so many designs, so many colors. You're gonna love it. You're gonna spend thousands of dollars. You're gonna put it in your house and you're gonna send me a photo. Thank you. But guess what, guys? We're not done talking about bars because we're gonna talk about another bar that has caught my eye that I think is so freaking cool if you're lucky enough to have a built-in. And that is this beautiful wet bar designed by Suchetta over at the Resplendent Crow. Side note, the Resplendent Crow specializes in lacquered furniture. Everything they make is gorgeous. I will link them down below. But this is the personal project of the owner, Suchetta, who decided to build out this arched bar with this incredible, outrageous wallpaper. But I think this execution is so cool. We have the yellow lacquered cabinets with custom hardware. We have this incredible print. This wallpaper is Dahlia Plumes by Susie Bellamy, and it is so funky. It kind of reminds me of like a Missoni print. It's really trippy to look at, and she was smart to put in glass shelving so that it wouldn't disrupt the pattern. And you actually wouldn't realize it from looking at the photos, but the bar is fully stocked with clear glassware. She added those two sconces on the side, which I think are such a fun, beautiful detail. And for the record, it is kind of tricky to arch that wallpaper, but she did it so beautifully and so symmetrically. I think this entire vignette is just absolute perfection head to toe. If you are lucky enough in your life to have any sort of built-in, whether it's bookshelves or a little telephone nook or a full wet bar like this, I am so pro wallpapering it, even if you do a subtle design, just to make it kind of pop out a little bit more and kind of highlight it as an architectural feature. So again, shout out to Suchetta because this is so freaking gorgeous. I just get lost staring at this image. Now, next up, let's talk about something I would kill for, and that is these absolutely stunning mirrors. These giant mirrors live in the gallery at Friend Art Space. They were made by a Thai artist, and I don't even know what I could say about these that you guys cannot clearly see. From the giant scale, to the gorgeous arched pattern, to the incredible pencil reed work, the detail, the outline, the color, the silhouette. You could put these in any room, anywhere, and they would be incredible. Obviously, she has them on the wall. I could imagine them as an incredible headboard. They'd be beautiful as a dining room backdrop. Again, there's really nothing to say other than they are true works of art, and I bless the hands of the artist who made them. And I would be tempted to DIY them myself, but I could never in a million years make them as beautiful as this artist has made them. So let this photo just be a reminder that even in dark times, there are artists making beautiful things and contributing beautiful things to the world that we are lucky enough to be able to see. And on that note, we are going to round out today's episode with our final little object of beauty, and that is this adorable mosaic backsplash made by the artist Amy Exton. I think it's clear that I adore things that are handmade, unique, unexpected, and I think this tiny little backsplash is a perfect example of that. These are all unique tiles assembled to create this beautiful dual swan pattern. It is so beautiful, it's so charming. Obviously, it's the perfect complement to the pink pedestal sink. And I really like that it's actually quite small, so this is a perfect little detail to add to a sink in a water closet or a very small space. But it is honestly something that like makes me smile when I see it, and if I were to walk into a small tiny bathroom and saw that little backsplash, I would just be overcome with joy. Hence, I have not been able to stop thinking about this ever since I saw this image. And again, clearly you could DIY something like this. You could even buy a mosaic, a small little petite mosaic, and just hang it on the wall behind your sink. And that is the benefit of having a small little sink and a small little space to be able to do things like that. So Amy, love you, love your work, and I love you guys for coming down this fun little eclectic rabbit hole with me. If you are someone who wants more decor tips, whether that's for small spaces or renter-friendly hacks or budget-friendly hacks, I will link my playlist below where I do big roundups with a lot of tips. You should definitely check those out. If you like inspiration like this, you should sign up for my monthly newsletter, which is linked below, where I just send out a little fun roundup of DIY ideas, seasonal decor, fun decor, general inspiration. It's just a nice little thing if you want a little fun break in your inbox. And as usual, if you have something cool or unique or creative in your own home that you would like to share, I love to see what you guys are doing. I love to see what your homes look like. So you can DM me, you can email me, you can get it to me however you want. So until next time, stay inspired, stay cool, stay creative, and most importantly, stay sane. Okay, bye.